Kyle. What are we doing tonight in the shop?
Tonight, we got the 9-inch here, and we got the RuffStuff disc brake kit. We're going to be setting that up. We got our axle shafts in today, so now we can get the brakes all set up. Let's go check it out.
All right, let's go.
Go for it. Go do it one more time.
Okay, ready,
Seriously.
set, up.
All right, guys. We got the 9-inch back here. Some stuff we did off camera. We have a Yukon nodular case. It's the big bearing one. Paired up with that, we got the RuffStuff pinion guard. Thing's pretty beefy. Coming to the back of it, we have a RuffStuff backbone truss. It's all welded up. And on this side, we got a rotor mounted up from RuffStuff. They make this pretty sweet disc brake kit for this 9-inch. You get rotors. Here, we can just come over here real quick. Comes with rotors, 2 calipers. You got the brackets here that go on the calipers, and then you got to weld this onto the axle tube itself. You get some brake lines and some brake hardware. I'll show you what it looks like. It's gonna look something like this. Spread it out. It's gonna look something like that, but clocked for whatever we need. And on the bottom of this, we also have a skid plate we mounted up. It's just a piece of quarter-inch flat bar that we bent around it. It's not a very thick housing, so that'll help a lot. For axle shafts, these just showed up today. We have 35 spline Mosier axles. Got the bearings already on there, so now we can finally do the brake kit. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, we got the 9-inch. We already know what it is. Go. It's already going. All right, guys. We got the housing stripped down to just the bearing cup. Our plan is to throw these axle shafts in there to get the rotor where it needs to be. Once we get the rotor all mounted up, we can put the caliper where it's gonna sit, and then we're gonna shoot. We're gonna get it all lined up like this. We're gonna shoot with air to compress the piston onto the rotor to get it all squared up, so then we can tack it, and then I guess disassemble it and then fully weld it. So yeah. All right, so we got the caliper where we want it, position-wise. We got a piece of cardboard in here for a spacer on the brake pad. So when we hit it with air, the piston's gonna compress the brake pad, obviously. So this side is gonna be flat on the rotor. And you want a little space in there, just so when, I guess, for final assembly, when you actually take it on the road, you just don't want the bearing, you don't want the brake pad just wearing down on the rotor for no reason. So it's nice to have a little play in there. I'd say about 1/8 of an inch is what we got. So yeah, we're gonna tack it up real quick. We're gonna show you how it's done. Got our first tack on there. I guess you just gotta make sure that that this caliper bolt is not riding on the rotor. Same with the other side. The brake pad also looks like it's clearance correctly on the rotor. Just gotta pay attention to all that before. That's kind of like the purpose of the tack. You just gotta make sure everything is square and where you want it, because once you fully weld it, it's just kind of where it's gonna be. So, especially for the life of the vehicle. So, just gotta make sure everything is what you want, I guess. So yeah, I guess we'll do our full beads now on the bracket, and show you afterwards what it looks like. All right.
Backtrack a little bit. We got this tacked on already, but we found out after the fact that our axle shaft has a little bit of play. You can hear it hitting the top of the housing. We don't have the bearings inside the third member, so that doesn't allow us to completely square this up exactly. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten down this retainer plate a little bit tighter to see if that can make up for us without having the bearing. If that doesn't work, we're gonna go ahead and take the third member out, and we'll shim, kind of jimmy rig and guess to where that axle shaft's gonna be sitting inside the tubing. If that doesn't work for you guys, you can go ahead and just put the bearings inside the third member. We don't have those right now, so we're gonna try and make with what we got. Hopefully we can get it square enough to where it's gonna be all right, to where the brake pads don't ride too hard. Worst case is your brake pads are just gonna wear out a little bit off center or not perpendicular to the axle. It'll just wear a little bit prematurely, but it's a race Jeep, so It's not that big of a deal.
We don't really care about no premature brake pad ejaculation.
All right, so after going through this a little bit more, we decided we're gonna actually take out the third member to be able to center it a little bit better inside the tubing itself. We don't think it's good enough to have this much play. That just doesn't seem adequate for this. We wanted to have it pretty tight in there so that we can get this pretty square so we don't have as much wear on the brakes. So we're gonna go ahead and take out the third member, maintain the 20-degree pinion angle that we want. Just gonna prop it up with our power lumberjack again from underneath, keep that angle, pull it out. Now we're just gonna try and makeshift a little bit of a jig in there so that the axle shaft stays concentric with the tubing in the axle. So normally the bearing will be set in this third member already. We don't have the bearings right now, so we're just gonna set it to the tubing itself, which should be pretty close. So we're gonna take this out and see where that goes. All right, so we went ahead and we pulled the third member out. We're gonna center the axle shaft in the tube as much as we can. We don't have the bearings, so we're gonna center it as much as we can with the retainer plates by sucking them tight. And then from there, we measured that we only have 1 degree of difference from here to here when it comes to the flange on the axle shaft. So we're gonna try and center that as much as we can with the retainer plate and then center it from this side out because there's too much leverage there to hold the axle shaft perfectly perpendicular with the ring gear from just those retainer bolts. We're gonna use a little bit of redneck engineering here to use a string and then a shim inside the tubing itself. We're gonna measure how much space we have, figure out what center is to center it side to side, and then lift it up however much we need there since we don't have the bearings.
All right. Okay. So, what garage are we called?
Get a grip garage.
Okay. Here at Get a Grip Garage, we stay hydrated, and then we work on the projects. Okay. Let's demonstrate. Here.
We're in the project.
Ah. All right, one take here. What are we working on?
We're taking the whole assembly back off because we have this tacked and ready to go. We figured out our axle centering problem, so we got it close enough. The brake pad will probably wear a little uneven, but it's what it is. Brake pads are brake pads, but it'll work great. It's gonna stop the vehicle, so that's all that matters.
We had it within a 1/2 degree, so in the axle shaft we had 1/2 degree, so that means we have a 1/4 degree in distance from the center. So the 1/2 degree is not going to make a big of a difference on the brake pads. So we're just going to go with it. We're not going to get much more precise without the bearings itself, so we're going to fucking fully weld this thing in.
We're gonna fucking send it, bud, motherfucker.
Alright, we got this, no, we don't have this yet. We do it, sorry. Already?
Yep.
Alright, we got this side. I was gonna say first pass, but it's
Okay.
Like, we got a good
It's all good.
pass on this one.
Alright.
All right, ready,
On this
set,
side,
go.
I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to do that. It's 3 in the morning.
Yeah, and then come to this side, I'll show.
You say we're drunk as fuck, it's 3 in the morning.
Hey, we're doing it, folks.
Alright, we got this side all done. We're gonna wait till tomorrow to cut this backbone truss out a little bit so we can get the torch in there to finish that off. We're gonna bust out the other side real quick and then call it a night. It is getting pretty late. Or I should say early. Alright, so it's the next day now. Our plan is to clearance this a little bit so we can get in there with the nozzle. I think we'll end up patching this back up with just another piece of 1/4 inch. Just kind of leveling it out and making it look smooth. So we'll get a time lapse of what we're doing. Alright, we got the 9-inch here. We got the RuffStuff disc brake kit all finished up for the second time. We had a little mess up with the rotor situation. Our studs are 1/2 inch and the holes are 3/8 on the rotor. So when we welded it the first time, we didn't really realize that the rotor wasn't centered. So we had it on a low spot and everything cleared already, but then we welded it and then we spun the rotor and it stopped because it was hitting the caliper bolts. So if you guys are doing this kit, just make sure that all the clearances are good, and make sure you spin the rotor once or twice. Make sure that it goes around. So yeah, we got a wheel mocked up here. This is a 17-inch wheel, so plenty of room on that caliper. We're running the Raceline Monsters, the bead locks. Got a great look to them. And yeah, thanks to RuffStuff and Raceline. It really means a lot that you guys jumped on with this build with all of us. Very excited to be racing at the King of Hammers. So if you like what you see and you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll put my Instagram in the bio below. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video.